everybody, Rob Castro here from SoCal, LA, Orange County area. Today I'm going to do a video on something that I actually experienced many times, but recently it came up again. The buyer asking the seller for closing costs. So it's pretty common, especially here in our marketplace, but even though it's common, a lot of sellers kind of don't understand it, don't really get it. Here's how it works. So the buyer hypothetically writes an offer to the seller for $500,000. List price is $500,000. Buyer offers $500,000, and they ask for closing costs. They ask for seller to pay buyer's closing costs. Let's say in this example, seller to pay 2%, seller to credit buyer 2% for closing costs. Now what does that mean? Does that mean the seller has to write a check to the buyer? 2% of 500 is 10,000, so 10 grand. So does the buyer have to write them a check and then they pay for their closing costs out of their check? No. What it means basically is they offered 500, they're asking for 10 in closing costs, and that's a $10,000 credit. So effectively, the buyer's offering the seller $490. That may or may not be a price that works for the seller, but that's how the seller needs to look at the offer, is they're offering $490. It's whether they're paying for closing costs or not, it's irrelevant. It's an effective offer for $490, and that $10,000 is just credited out of the proceeds to cover the buyer's closing costs through escrow. So the seller doesn't have to take any money out of their pocket, they don't have to write a check, it's all done through escrow, and it's like they're getting an offer for $490. Now why would the buyer do this? Well, because the buyer has closing costs that they have to bring in on top of their down payment to close the escrow if they're getting financing, and they're basically wanting to come in with less money out of pocket to close the deal. So if they have to ultimately bring in their down payment plus say 3% for all their closing costs, their loan origination, their appraisal, their inspections, all that stuff, they'll actually have to bring in $10,000 less. So that's how it works. It benefits the buyer in a big way, because really if they ask for the closing costs and they add basically that much more on their loan because they don't have to bring in as much, I hope that makes sense. Their loan being $10,000 more doesn't hardly affect their payment much, 15, 20 bucks a month or something like that. So for them to bring in less out of their pocket, have a small amount, have a higher payment, isn't a big deal, and it actually benefits them. And if the price works for the seller, everybody's happy and it's a win-win. So I'm Rob Castro, hope that made sense. If you have any questions, comments for me, you can always reach me at 949-922-0393, or you can email me at robcastro@robcastrobroker.com. As always, have a great day.